welcome to our Elevator Pitch Showdown. As explained earlier, we use these sessions just to help support the elevator pitch journey and just the fundraising outreach, how you inspire advisors, employees, investors. And so great to have you here, Nilla. Just so everyone else knows, where are you joining us from, sir?
Well, I'm kind of in middle of Finland right now, so there's maybe 300 kilometers to the Arctic Circle. There's maybe 5 centimeters slow on ground. I'll be driving maybe 400 kilometers today, and there's still 300 more kilometers to go. I'll be checking a potential factory site tomorrow. I'm still meeting some nightclub clients later on in a skiing center tonight.
Right. I guess it's dark now for a little bit longer in Finland. Does it stay a little bit darker now because of the change in the atmosphere and right is that correct?
Well, change in atmosphere. Sure, there's polar night taking place at my home, I believe already. But at this point, so I'll be there tomorrow. Sun is not coming up for the next 1.5 months.
Got it. Well, in that case, it's always good to have some hard seltzers to keep you, excited and warm and all the other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick off the elevator pitch showdown. What's going to happen is let's hear your 1-minute pitch around what you're creating. And, in your journey, your ask might be a little bit different, but, let's make sure that we get an ask component going. We're hitting the top of the elevator right now, and I'll introduce myself and we can get started. Is that all right?
Sure.
All right. So Nilla, my name is Singh. I am involved in the F&B space, and we're one of the biggest distribution companies in Southeast Asia. And we're looking to understand a little bit about what you're doing. Tell us more.
Sure. So Nalla is a company from Finnish Lapland, and we specialize in developing and marketing and selling hard seltzers. Low calorie trend is a big thing all across the developed world, and on alcohol, hard seltzers are the logical endpoint of low calorie drinks. So our name Nalla means zero in Finnish, and there's 0 calories on top of what alcohol contains, 0 sugar, 0 carbs. Hard seltzer became an independent category in US around 2016 and has taken the country by storm. Hard seltzers are already more than 10% of the whole soft alcohol market in US, and our thesis is that Europe will follow with a few-year lag, like it usually does with consumer goods. Our competitive advantages are that we have a brand that cannot be copied by the big boys, coming from the fact that half of our founding team are of ethnic minority called Sami, the only indigenous people group in European Union, and other small guys cannot copy our marketing know-how and resources, and our cost efficiency cannot be copied by anyone. The window of opportunity is now open in Europe. It won't be open for years. Now it's time to invest. We found the formula that will produce 2 when we input in 1, and thus your contribution would be value adding, and it would be highly appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Nilla. So coming back to the Nalla platform, let's dig in a little bit deeper. Interesting, momentum and timing and where things are going. I'll share with you what I was thinking about as you were pitching. I wanted to know a little bit more because you talked about defensibility, right? You said that the big boys can't compete on cost. And the other thing is that you've also created a defensible brand as well. Can you dig a little bit deeper on that?
Sure. So we have had healthy margins from the get-go. So we've been to markets around 14 months, sold maybe 330,000 cans by thus far. And we are available in about 1,000 retail locations. So we have 50% gross margins that should only improve with volumes. It's a premium product, but it's simple product to make. And our founding team at the very moment, we are not taking salaries. Most of them have some other income sources.
Sure. Got it. Got it. So you've been 14 months, 300,000 plus cans, right?
230,000, around that neighborhood.
230,000 cans.
Yeah.
And 1,000 retailers in 14 months.
Yes.
Interesting. And so your team are good hustlers, it looks like, right? You guys are moving around and making stuff happen, right?
Indeed. That's what I'm doing as we speak.
Yes.
As you can see, multitasking.
So my question to you is, when I think about hard seltzers and I think about kind of the industry in general, you talked about the fact that your thought process is that it's taken off in the United States. There's been a lot of traction. There's been a lot of momentum there, and you feel that it's going to crack in Europe, correct? Right, and you have first mover advantage, right?
I wouldn't call it any more first mover advantage. There are seltzers available in some European countries, not all. Smaller markets are not equally competitive, but they usually left-hand attempts by big breweries. Everybody can look into US and see, okay, this is could be a big thing in Europe, so let's give it a try. But it's very hard for established consumer goods companies to ride new trends, since consumers see that it's not very authentic if you have a 100 years long legacy brand package as a beer manufacturer. When you try to make seltzers, you don't appear equally authentic.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Nilla, my question to you is around social sentiment around your product, right? Because we know, for those of us that are not involved in the hard seltzers market, we do recognize that brands like Coke, right? Brands like Pepsi, brands like Tiger Beer in Singapore, and all the guys in between, they tend to have sentiment, right? And so I want to understand a little bit about that audience sentiment, because I think one of the key wins around what you're doing is you got some beautiful branding and this sentiment around how you guys have branded, and the ingredients and all these other elements are coming to the forefront now, right? In 2022, people want to know exactly what's going into their body, right? There's a lot more research now available in terms of the repercussions around certain types of alcohol consumption and all this other stuff. So tell me about the sentiment analysis that you may have around your brand versus some of the incumbents. Okay, tell me about that.
Sentiment for whole category is very hot now. It's by far the fastest growing alcohol category in Finland, I presume in many other European countries as well. The way we see it, we don't need to win every bottle to succeed. This is not software kind of winner takes it all markets. Consumer tastes are not homogeneous. So the Cokes and Pepsis of this world, Diageo and AB InBev, they will still have big part of this market because of their distribution advantage. But we are reasonably certain that there's many very profitable niches we can be present on. The way consumers sees the product category, it's very unisex. It's not like beer, which is drank mostly by men. Naturally, young consumers are faster to take in new categories. So predominantly, the average drink consumer age is from 23 to maybe 35. And we cannot say that there's hard data to prove that consumers will stick with the category, but that seems to be the case in US anyways. And in that country, the category has existed for 7 years, so they actually do have good data at that market.
Understood. My last question is, I kind of want to know where the journey around this is, right? Like a couple of things. Number one is, sorry, I have two questions, if I may. Is the fact that you're a Finnish brand helpful for you, right? When I think about Finland, I think about, obviously for me, I think about the amazing F1 drivers that you guys have had, but more importantly, it's a clean place. It's you know what I mean? Obviously close to the Arctic, there's kind of a branding around that. Do you feel that there's a brand play that can be had from your location?
It should be an advantage, and we are just not any generic Finnish brand. We are Sami Lapland brand. Our headquarters are located 250 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle. It has been an advantage for many Finnish spirits brands in countries that value Finnish characteristics. So let's say Japan, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Finnish brands have had good success in those markets, and it should also fly in China. And this is what we are working on, right? We will go into these markets for sure, but naturally at this point, our sales are prominently made in Finland at this point. We have one retail location in Paris and another one in London as we speak. But that's it. We are getting serious about Estonia, Czech, and Netherlands, Ibiza, and maybe Germany, depending on certain legal aspects. But we should be putting up our Amazon storefront in Germany. So it remains to be seen. But in anyway, we are not betting the company on any individual market outside Finland. So the investments required won't be make or perish kind of situations.
Nilla, this might be a harder question around your pitch is where do you go with this, right? You've built it out. You've got some early traction. Your hope is to go to a specific group of other markets. But what is your exit on this? Is this something that you're going to build up? Because from an investment standpoint, I'm curious about what the exit around this, right? And when we think about drink brands, there's a little bit of volatility in the beginning, but once you're able to, if your timing's good, the brand's good, typically these companies get acquired by the big players, right? And is that something that's on your radar, something you would like to do, or are you have a different approach? What's your view on that? Tell me about the journey around that.
Sure. Yes, you're correct. Drinks brands tend to get acquired because of the dynamic we already touched, that it's difficult for established brands to ride the new categories, but they do have big distribution advantage. So the business model is comparable to big pharma, in which big pharma companies buy new drugs and bring the product into their distribution. Because of this dynamic, the multiples paid on acquisitions are quite healthy, often 10x revenues.
Yes.
And we are open to entertain offers should they come. And everything is for sale for the right price. But personally, I cannot speak for everyone in the team, but personally, I'm enjoying the business. I feel like I'm giving back to the community back north. So I could see us continuing doing this for a long time if right offer doesn't materialize.
Yeah. Just to qualify that, Nilla, you mentioned just now, everything is for sale at the right price. That is correct. I remember when I first got married, I married, my father-in-law is a successful Singaporean businessman, and he said the same thing with a slight adjustment, okay? He said, in life, the only thing in life you fall in love with is my daughter. Everything else is for sale, okay? Right? Just to qualify that, right? There's some things that aren't for sale, but I hear where you're going, right? Because for this, Nilla, when I think about what you're doing, it's very clear to me as we start to talk about this kind of the value equation moving forward, the types of people that you need the capital for, what the journey might look like, and what the next 5 to 7 years might look like and how it takes it to the next level, right? And driving towards exit, even if you remain an entity in Finland and you create jobs, because I guess I sense that's important to you as well, right? Being able to have that local brand and drive those elements. I'm also aware that the revenue multiples are really high in your space, right? So there's kind of a high risk, high reward perspective. My last question to you is, now that you've built all these components, what's your approach going to be for market entry to Singapore, to China, to all these other places? How do you do it? How do you pull it off?
We need to find local partners. So in China, with China, discussions are already ongoing, and it's a reasonable new development, but it pays to go to good schools like INSEAD. Your classmates do interesting things.
Yeah.
Indeed, so this happened only 2 weeks ago. We started discussions. Same thing with Netherlands. One of my best classmates of my class in INSEAD, his family owns one of the biggest retail chains in Netherlands.
Okay.
We need to hire a local copywriter in every market we decide to go to maintain tonality of our voice. So it won't be free, and we don't have the resources to be shooting with the shotgun going everywhere. So discussions need to be had, but I think big part, okay, there's this our idea where we should be going to, but also where we happen to find distributors, and these distributors just seem to be popping up. I mean, this Czech Republic thing, I just heard 3 hours ago that there's a person who loved our product. I brought my cans to Czech when I was visiting my friends in May, and now there's already someone who wants to import our goods.
Fantastic.
So,
Fantastic. So let's see. Would you like me to pitch your idea?
Please do.
Right, I can pitch Nilla, and let me see how I can pitch it. And we're gonna be going to the investment community, right? We need to raise some capital. How much money do we need again? How much money do we need?
We would need 500,000 euros, but since we have a model we believe works, we would find interesting uses for more capital. So 1 million would be not off the charts either.
Got it. Who do you think you would reach? Who do you think would be the best person? I think pitching this potentially to a family office might be interesting, right? Well, would that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So what we can do is you get to be somebody from a family office. Okay. Introduce yourself, and I will pitch the Nalla platform to you, sir. Go ahead.
Sure. Hello, I'm Nilla Lansman from Northern Finland. My family has been in reindeer herding business for hundreds of years, and we have prospered and sold a couple of reindeers. And as it happens, we have some extra capital now, and we would like to diversify our holdings outside from solely holding reindeer. So we're interested in private businesses that we see have a lot of growth and yield potential. Please entertain me with your idea.
Thank you very much, sir, for making the time. My name is Singh. I'm part of the Nalla team. As you might know, hard seltzers is one of the fastest growing segments in the drink world in the United States. And having spent a lot of time in the in the private equity space and in the banking space, I thought this would be the best opportunity to jump ship and create my own brand. And so we've created Nalla here in Finland, and we've created an authentic European Finnish brand. And we've been operating now for quite some time. I don't want to go into too much of the details of the product itself, but I want to tell you about the idea that we believe that there's a huge wave, because consumer sentiment around clean, healthy drinks like what we've created is here to stay. And we feel that with our initial traction, we've been just operating for 14 months. We've got over 200,000 cans and 100 retailers. we have a beautiful opportunity to take this to the next level. And by doing that, it's actually a very simple process. You know, our branding, our gross margin analysis, our cost efficiency, all of that stuff is done because we've run it like a good business. Our goal now is to expand, and we're doing that through our internal network. And our hope is that we can continue the month over month increase of success, right? 20, 30% growth month over month, get to the point where we have millions of cans a month distributed around the world. And our hope is we become that target candidate for the private equity firms that are coming in to acquire these brands, or one of the drink companies within the next 3 to 5 years. We're looking for $1 million to take that growth, okay, and make things work. And our hope is that when we exit, we achieve a 10x multiple on our revenue. Would love to chat to you a little bit more about this at one of our bars, right? Because I want you to try it, okay? And I also want to see if you would be interested to participate, sir, in our fundraising. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Nilla, what I wanted to do is I wanted to emphasize kind of where it's going, right? You've got the pieces now, right? We trust it. Once you have 1,000 retailers, you're good. You're good. That's, you know what I mean? Your background and all those other components. I wanted to shift a little bit about the future now, where the money is going, right? And I want to like talk about how, and I was going to bring up the INSEAD network, okay? I could have jumped in a little bit more details, but how you have figured out the best way for a next generation distribution strategy and how you make it efficient. And then all we have to do is put that money to work. Do you get what I'm saying? You have a beautiful growth story that needs to be heard, okay? And then from that, you do this for a couple of years, and then you have drink brands or private equity firms that are waiting, right, to give you a hug, a 10x multiple on your revenue hug, right, which is as good as it can get right now, especially in these markets, correct?
Yes.
Right. And so you don't have to be a digital company. And this is the beauty of it, right? You don't actually have to be a digital company to get some of the revenue multiples that we all seek for, right? All the pieces are there. But I want to build this out because I feel you've gone through the journey of selling your product to retailers. And I think you have that down right. Now we need to shift the pitch to the distribution people that are coming in, and they might invest. £1 million euros is not a lot of money, but the other components around it is how we talk about what the middle and end of your story is, right, Nilla? And I want to really zero in on that and get that going, because for me, I think that the timing seems right, okay? Right? For me, when we look at it from an investment, it's team and execution and timing, right? For me, you lead off and it's obvious that the timing is right, okay? And then you can come back to your team and talk about your team and the work that you've done and the fact that you left a very high-paying job, right? You know, as an INSEAD grad, you've left a very well cushy job, maybe collecting a lot of air miles as well because they fly you around the world. But more importantly, then it comes down to that execution layer. And that execution layer is that smart strategy about how you're going out and how people are popping up and the brand interest is there, right? Why are you the pretty girl on the dance floor now, right? And then how are we going to map these components out? And Nilla, like, I actually feel based on your story, we might even consider more than $1 million. Do you know what I mean? I think you might require more, right? When we look at it, at the end of the day, your and I might be mistaken, but your gross margins, you know, your cost of acquisition might actually go up as you scale. Okay, there is a potential for that, right? And then obviously, as you start to scale as well, you know, over time, salaries and all these other things kind of play in, and you know what I mean. You might need to do that. So. You know, I actually loved your pitch. I love where you're going with this, and obviously your timing is right. And you know, all the people here are probably interested in having a bit of a one of your drinks right now, right? But more importantly for me, I want to channel the energy around the growth story and the exit, and then also be in a situation where you've capitalized it completely. Do you know what I mean? You know, because I think as I'm listening to you, I'm like, you know, you come up, this is $100 million business, easy. Okay. Right. And I want you to kind of map those components out, and let's try to get those components firing. But, you know, as I was listening, I was like, I was expecting you to turn to me and say something like 2 million euros, right? I'm like, it's got to be a minimum of this guy and all the, do you know what I mean? You know, and we think Finnish, we think high end, do you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, we think about all these things. So let's dig a little bit deeper on that and cultivate it like this, because I feel the private equity, maybe not yet, but the family offices would really want to jump on this, right? I think that it's the ones, you know, and I have a couple in mind, and let's see where we can go with this. But congratulations, you know, really excited to see where this goes. Hopefully the holiday season reaps more rewards and more interest, and, you know, you guys are selling more off the shelves. And let's continue on the path of how to grow your network through the INSEAD network, right? And around the world, and see where else it goes, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be Europe. You could be in a situation where you are virtually owning the market from Europe, but, you know, what's stopping you from markets like Singapore, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and all the stuff in between, right? And so thank you very much for your time, Nilla. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Go big or go home. I like that. Now it's
Yeah.
3 million euros.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll go through that with you, and we've gone through the journey and seen some of the beverage companies and some of the other hidden costs from a growth perspective. But that's my view, sir. My view.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes takes the same amount of time for somebody to write a $2 million check than a $500,000 check. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So might as well make your life a little bit easier. But thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed, and look forward to the next steps. Okay.